Welcome back. Today we will learn about the issue rocking Salem's boardrooms and bedrooms as Gabi Hernandez and Tony DiMera set a ruthless plan in motion against Titan DiMera, detonating secrets that leave Philip and Xander reeling with a sense of betrayal when the truth about Gabi's manipulation finally breaks the surface. Big move ahead. Next week marks a decisive pivot. Gabi Hernandez and Tony DiMera align their agendas and prepare to strike hard at Titan DiMera after Gabi uncovers Philip Kiriaki's alleged fraud and Xander Kiriaki's cover-up, giving the duo the ammunition they need to mount a corporate counteroffensive with surgical precision. The setup positions Tony as the strategic architect and Gabi as the field operative, blending DiMera finesse with Gabi's appetite for high-risk leverage to fracture the merged empire from within. Why Gabi flips? Gabi's turn is not impulsive, it's calculated and data-driven from a flurry of discoveries. Forged paperwork and financial misdeeds tied to Philip, plus an internal cover-up loop pulling Xander into the liability chain, push her to weaponize those receipts before they're buried or litigated away. The moment Gabi realizes how those irregularities can decouple Titan from DiMera, and restore control of Gabi Chic by proxy, she embraces Tony's invitation to escalate from passive resistance to active corporate sabotage. Tony's strategy. Tony frames the mission as saving the DiMera legacy from Kiriaki's era volatility, preferring a cleaner house than EJ's scorched earth instincts while promising a decisive outcome that isolates Titan's weak links. His playbook leans on destabilizing pressure, expose blackmail dynamics between Xander and Philip, magnify investor jitters, and pry loose board votes by surfacing compliance failures that no fiduciary can stomach. The seduction vector. Gabi's charm campaign becomes an instrument, not an end. She pivots from warm moments with Xander to weaponized proximity, manufacturing friction between the Kiriakis brothers to fracture the executive layer that keeps Titan DiMera glued together. Yet the plan complicates when authentic chemistry sparks with Philip, threatening to blur the line between pretense and passion right as Tony needs her focus locked on the mission. Titan DiMera's fault lines. Recent tensions, physical confrontations, mutual blackmail, and a fragile post-merger détente, leave Titan DiMera exposed to precisely the kind of shock Tony and Gabi intend to deliver. Investors and senior stakeholders already sense volatility. Another revelation about fraud or a cover-up could trigger emergency governance reviews, stalled capital commitments, or even forced leadership reshuffles. The scandal mechanics. Philip's alleged scam isn't just a moral failing. It's a compliance flashpoint with downstream consequences for audits, insurance coverage, and regulatory scrutiny, especially if forged documents or misrepresented assets touched board decisions. Xander's reported cover-up compounds the risk, transforming a single bad actor into a systemic exposure if leadership knowingly suppressed discoverable facts that influenced merger terms or executive compensation. Gabi's leverage map. Armed with knowledge of the fraud and cover-up, Gabi can sequence disclosures. First, private warnings to fracture trust between Philip and Xander. Next, targeted leaks to spook the board. Finally, a public reveal that positions DiMera as the disciplined alternative ready to reclaim operational control. Each step is designed to widen existing cracks, professional jealousy, family politics, and legal fear, until the merger's political capital collapses under its own contradictions. Tony's endgame. Tony's ideal outcome is a negotiated unwind. Titan relinquishes control in exchange for containment of reputational damage, while DiMera reasserts stewardship over its brands and rehabs its image under a leader who isn't mired in prosecutable baggage. If that fails, he's prepared to lean on shareholder action and compliance escalations that compel change without a courtroom spectacle, even as he keeps EJ at arm's length to avoid derailing the optics of a clean transition. Fallout for Xander and Phillip. When Gabi's manipulation is exposed, both Xander and Philip are expected to feel profoundly betrayed, but the symmetry ends there. Xander may interpret the move as confirmation that sentiment is a liability in corporate warfare, doubling down on stoicism, whereas Philip confronts a deeper crisis where romance, ego, and legal peril collide. Either way, the shatter point is trust. Once broken, it reconfigures alliances overnight and invites power brokers to redraw the map of loyalties across Salem's business class. Risks to Gabi. Gabi's gambit is a tightrope. If her feelings for Philip influence timing or tone, Tony's patience may wane, and the planned cascade of shocks could stall out mid-sequence. If Xander remains emotionally detached and loyal to Sarah, he could become immune to Gabi's influence, forcing her to pivot to hard proof rather than soft persuasion, raising the legal stakes of every step she takes. Boardroom chess. Expect a quickening pulse in committee rooms, compliance chairs calling emergency sessions, HR lawyering up, and outside counsel stress-testing indemnity clauses tied to executive misconduct. Tony's allies will whisper about fiduciary duty and reputational harm, while Titan loyalists scramble to separate personal failings from institutional integrity in a bid to keep the merger intact. Emotional collateral. Beyond the spreadsheets, the emotional math gets messy. Gabi's duplicity risks alienating potential co-parents and confidants, while Philip's pride and Xander's guarded heart take fresh damage that bleeds into every conversation they bring back to the office. Salem's families don't compartmentalize well. What starts in the C-suite spills into living rooms, therapy sessions, and late-night strategy calls no NDA can contain. Xander passes the test, a surprising turn in Salem's business and family rivalries. In the world of Days of Our Lives, nothing is ever simple, especially when it comes to family loyalties, corporate power struggles, and the delicate balance between rivalry and reconciliation. What unfolded in Salem between Xander and Phillip was not just another office quarrel. It became a dramatic test of loyalty, survival, and, perhaps most surprising of all, brotherhood. Gabi's unexpected discovery. At the heart of the drama is Gabi, who has never been one to back away from intrigue. Sitting quietly at home, she stumbles upon something she was never meant to hear. Thanks to a wiretap, she overhears a conversation between Xander and Phillip that leaves her both stunned and intrigued. The men are discussing a fake letter, an item that could change the balance of power within their family and Victor's empire. Gabi is caught between disbelief and excitement. For a moment, she marvels at how the men of the Kyriakis family never cease to entangle themselves in deception, schemes, and betrayals. Yet deep down, she is pleased. To her, information is always power, and overhearing this secret exchange might eventually play to her advantage. A shocking proposal in the office. Meanwhile, in the Kyriakis' office, the atmosphere is just as heavy with tension. Philip, still reeling from the tangled web of lies surrounding his father Victor's wishes, finds himself blindsided by Xander's unexpected move. In his hand, Xander holds a simple-looking pen. The very wiretap that captured their conversation. Yet instead of using it to expose Philip, Xander delivers something far more surprising, an offer to officially appoint Philip as co-CEO. This move shocks Philip, who had not anticipated any generosity from Xander. With this appointment, Philip would hold the same ownership stake as Xander. The implication is clear. Even Victor's final wishes could be rendered meaningless if the truth about the letter were to come out. Philip, for once, is left speechless. Philip's sudden resignation. Just as Xander believes the tension between them might be settling, Philip throws him another curveball. Without hesitation, Philip announces his resignation. The moment feels surreal. Xander is caught completely off guard. He had anticipated resistance, maybe even a drawn-out battle for dominance. Instead, Philip simply walks away. But before leaving, he makes one final, almost comical gesture. He grabs a handful of candy from the dish on Xander's desk. The candy incident, from humor to horror. At first, it seems like a small, almost childish act. Philip stuffs jelly beans into his mouth with reckless abandon. But what starts out as humorous quickly turns into a crisis. Philip begins to choke. His face reddens, his hands clutch at his throat, and the room fills with panic. For a brief, chilling moment, Xander hesitates. Should he help the man who has been nothing but a rival? Or should he stand by and let fate take its course? Despite his darker instincts, Xander's better judgment wins out. He rushes to Philip's side and performs the Heimlich maneuver. With a powerful thrust, the lodged candy shoots out of Philip's mouth. The sight of it flying across the room is disgusting and ridiculous at the same time. Yet it is also a life-saving act that changes the dynamic between them. The question of loyalty. When the immediate danger passes, Philip, still catching his breath, asks the question that lingers in the air. Why did Xander save him? It's not a simple question. Xander, with his sharp mind and ruthless streak, admits he considered letting Philip die. After all, removing a rival would have solved many of his problems. But something stronger prevailed, perhaps instinct, perhaps a sense of family duty. Brothers or rivals? For the first time, the two men speak openly about the possibility of brotherhood. Philip suggests that maybe it's time they begin to act less like enemies and more like allies. Xander, though skeptical, entertains the idea. After all, if Victor wanted both of them to succeed, perhaps continuing the feud only dishonors his legacy. But Xander's relief quickly turns into frustration when he realizes the truth about the choking incident. Philip had staged it. The near-death crisis was nothing but a test, a ploy to see whether Xander would choose compassion over rivalry. Xander is outraged at being manipulated in such a dangerous and humiliating way. Yet even through his anger, he recognizes something important: he passed the test. For the first time, Philip saw him not just as a rival, but as someone capable of loyalty and even care. A fragile new beginning. Although tension still lingers, Philip and Xander find themselves standing at the threshold of a new relationship. There is no denying that deep scars remain between them, but for now, there is an opportunity to move forward. Whether this fragile truce will hold is anyone's guess. In Salem, alliances shift as quickly as the weather, and brotherhood today could become betrayal tomorrow. Yet for the moment, there is a spark of hope that Victor's legacy might not be consumed by endless feuds, but instead strengthened by reconciliation. Final thoughts. The episode between Xander and Philip reminds us of a truth that resonates beyond Salem: sometimes the strongest bonds are forged in the heat of conflict. Rivalries can turn into respect, and even enemies can discover a sense of family when life hangs in the balance. For viewers, the scene offered a mix of suspense, humor, and heartfelt drama. From the absurdity of Philip nearly choking on jelly beans, to the gravity of Xander's split-second decision to save him, it was a moment that balanced both levity and depth. In the end, the question remains: will Xander and Philip truly move forward as brothers, or is this just a temporary pause in their ongoing war for power? Time, as always in Salem, will tell.